In an age when empires expanded with sails and gunpowder, every weapon carried a legacy of dominance, fear, and invention. From the silent precision of the rapier to the thunderous roar of naval cannons, these instruments didn't just fight battles, they shaped the fate of civilizations. Let's dive deep into the weapons that forged centuries of warfare, conquest, and survival on the high seas and beyond. In 16th century Europe, carrying a rapier was more than being armed. It was a statement of style and lethality. With its slender, pointed blade, this sword wasn't built for slashing but for piercing with pinpoint accuracy. It quickly became a favorite among aristocratic duelists and naval officers alike. Its design was perfect for quick thrusts, making it deadly in narrow alleys or cramped ship decks. Beyond its utility, the rapier was a badge of rank and sophistication. Mastery took years, but a single well-placed strike could pierce even lightly armored foes. As European powers sailed to distant lands, the rapier traveled with them, serving in skirmishes and ceremonial executions. Elegant, sharp, and deadly, it was refined violence in its purest form. Imagine a weapon so cumbersome it required patience to reload, yet so terrifying it could change the course of battle. That was the arquebus, appearing in the 5th–10th century. This early firearm weighed nearly 7 kilograms and was fired using a burning match cord that ignited gunpowder in a small pan. Soldiers often walked with smoldering fuses, ready to fire at a moment's notice. Its accuracy was poor, but the damage? Devastating. The large lead ball could tear through flesh, bone, and even thinner armor. On the battlefield, especially in conflicts between European forces and indigenous peoples, the noise and smoke alone caused confusion and terror. Before boarding actions or close combat, arquebuses fired a psychological warning. They didn't just signal a shot, they marked the beginning of a new, noisier age of warfare, where intimidation became as crucial as steel. If any weapon embodied the chaos of shipboard combat, it was the boarding axe. Short, heavy, and broad-bladed, this tool was brutally effective. It cut ropes, smashed doors, and opened escape hatches. But more importantly, it opened skulls. Used in tight quarters where accuracy mattered less than raw force, it allowed for quick, brutal strikes. In the frenzy of naval boarding, with bodies clashing on narrow decks, the axe gave pirates an edge. Many favored it over the sword. It required less maintenance, worked better in confined spaces, and doubled as a utility tool. The boarding axe became the Swiss Army knife of sea raids, a tool of survival and destruction in equal measure. In trained hands, it was no longer just a weapon, but a seamless extension of the raiders' armed. Clay grenades, developed by Iberian powers like Portugal and Spain, were primitive yet effective tools of terror. These small ceramic or clay pots were filled with gunpowder, shrapnel, and even nails. A fuse was lit before throwing, and when they struck hard surfaces, they shattered violently, sending fragments and fire in every direction. Though crude, their effect was terrifying in enclosed spaces, ship cabins, storage holds, fortresses, and port towns. The explosion, the slicing debris, and the smoke turned any confined space into a nightmare. Even their mere presence on a ship could spark fear and tension. Small in size, they packed disproportionate psychological impact, proof that fear, like powder, could be bottled and unleashed at will. Then came the musket, a game changer in the evolution of firearms. Early models relied on the same smoldering match system as the arquebus, with a glowing wick held by a serpentine mechanism. Pulling the trigger brought the flame to the powder pan, igniting an explosive shot. Muskets were massive, weighing up to 8 kilograms, and often misfired in humid climates like tropical coasts or wet forests. Still, when they did fire, the destruction was immense. The bullets were slow but large and dense, tearing through leather, bone, and even weaker types of armor. Though unreliable, the musket revolutionized infantry tactics and firepower at sea and on land. ushering in a noisy, smoky era where one shot could determine a man's fate. Asterisk, more than just a weapon, the musket was a true spectacle of fire and smoke. Whether clashing with native forces or during shipboard assaults, its thunderous blast struck fear into everyone nearby. It wasn't uncommon to see soldiers keeping their fuses lit even when no battle was in sight, always prepared to fire at the slightest sign of threat. Aboard ships, muskets were positioned high on masts or at the stern to fire down onto the deck, targeting enemy crew from above. While not the most practical weapon in close quarters, the musket symbolized a turning point, the end of silent, face-to-face combat. It ushered in a new era where the loud, violent eruption of gunpowder took center stage. Close your eyes and picture a pirate. Chances are, you imagine him wielding a curved saber, and for good reason. This short, heavy sword was the trusted ally of raiders, corsairs, and sailors who navigated the most dangerous waters. Its thick blade wasn't built for graceful duels, it was designed for swift, powerful strikes. During boarding fights where space was tight and chaos reigned, the saber became king. Its shorter length helped avoid getting caught in ropes or ship fittings, while its curved edge made broad, sweeping slashes easy and deadly, cutting through flesh, leather, and even wood. Cheap to produce, simple to sharpen, and resistant to sea corrosion, the saber was a sailor's best friend. Some came with heavy handguards to protect fingers in the fray. But above all, the saber was a declaration. When it was drawn, talk was over. A pirate pulling his saber made his intentions clear. He came to fight, not negotiate. Now imagine being locked inside a ship's cabin when you hear a hiss and see a metallic object rolling toward you, spitting sparks. That's a 17th century hand grenade, known then as a hand bomb. These primitive explosives were hollow iron spheres packed with gunpowder and sometimes bits of metal. The fuse was lit before throwing, giving it a few seconds before detonating and sending fragments flying in every direction. If the timing failed, the results could be fatal for friend and foe alike. Specialist grenadiers were trained to handle these risky weapons. They needed strength, calm nerves, and precise timing to light and throw an object seconds away from exploding. During naval assaults, grenades were hurled to spread panic before crews clashed hand to hand. In fortress sieges or port attacks, they were tossed over walls or slung using slings. Despite their rough appearance, the effect was terrifying. The noise, the flash, the psychological shock, pure chaos in a small metal shell. Though small in size, the flintlock pistol packed a huge punch. This was the sidearm of choice for pirates and European officers in the 17th and 18th centuries. Its mechanism was a marvel of its time. A flint striking steel produced sparks to ignite powder and fire a lead shot. Loud, smoky, and intimidating, it wasn't especially accurate, and it only fired once before needing to reload. But its value was in its speed and surprise. Many pirates wore multiple pistols strapped to their belts or tucked into vests, shooting one, tossing it aside, and grabbing the next. It was a weapon of last chances, perfect for quick and brutal confrontations. Some were beautifully decorated, others had twin barrels to double their chances. But all had one thing in common: they could end a conflict in a flash, or a life in a heartbeat. When a naval cannon fired, the whole ship shuddered. The culverin, a long and slender type of naval cannon, was the ruler of sea battles between the 16th and 18th centuries. Its mission was clear: pierce the hull of enemy vessels before they could get close. With superior range, solid accuracy, and the ability to launch heavy iron balls, it turned ship encounters into floating disasters. Every shot was a team effort crew. Members swabbed the barrel, poured in powder, loaded the cannonball, packed it all in, and lit the fuse, all while the ship pitched beneath their feet. A single mistake could cause the cannon to backfire, killing the crew or turning into deadly shrapnel. But when it worked, the devastation was unmatched: splintered decks, fallen masts, and sailors tossed like rag dolls. The culverin wasn't just a weapon, it was a message. One blast warned that this ship wouldn't surrender easily. When it spoke, it meant destruction. Among the most awe-inspiring weapons of the Renaissance, few stood out like the flamberge. With its flame-like wavy blade, it wasn't just for show. The design made it harder for other swords to slide against it during combat and inflicted more damage with each slash. This two-handed sword was long, heavy, and majestic, often wielded by elite soldiers such as German Landsknechts. On ships, the flamberge was less common due to its size, but on land, it embodied brute strength and dominance. It was seen in battlefield charges, public executions, and as a symbol of fear and power. The metallic hiss as it sliced through the air was enough to intimidate even the bravest foes. More than a weapon, it was a display of force, a brutal, elegant dance of steel. The flamberge didn't just win battles, it made sure people remembered